gotta be at peace. Peace. I just gotta be at peace. Yeah. I go through it every week. But I just gotta be at peace. And I just gotta be at peace. So King, be at peace. Peace. You just gotta be at peace. Yeah. It's challenges every week. But you just gotta be at peace. Just gotta be at peace. Look, gotta be at peace when you're going through them challenges. Focus on your breath, guaranteed is what balance it. Talking about emotions, you can drown up in that ocean. Meditate daily so my heart chakras stay open. Gotta be at peace, that's the key to elevation. The power is within, the peace gon' activate it. Never hate it, or run from any challenge. Remain calm through it all, is how you really manage. Yeah, I keep my peace by disciplining my thoughts. Never let it run, you stay grounded to who you are. And that's cool, peaceful vibes, that's our nature. The likeness of our God, supreme born the creator. Cause being at peace, it raise your IQ level. Reason through your problems, have you feeling like you're stuck. Gotta tap up in that wisdom, that's the power that's within. I won't succumb to negative, cause I came here to win. Man, I just gotta be at peace. Peace, I just gotta be at peace. Yeah, I go through it every week, but I just gotta be at peace. I just gotta be at peace. So King, be at peace. Peace, you just gotta be at peace. Yeah, it's challenges every week, but you just gotta be at peace. Just gotta be at peace. You heard me?
You are now tuned in to the Cosmic Convos podcast, your number one source for accurate, relevant, and thought-provoking astrological conversations in the podcast nation. The place where stars and minds align.
Peace, 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 peace. Peace, you're now tuned into the Cosmic Convos podcast. I'm your humble host, Herut, and I got my good brother over here, Brother Ra. How you doing?
Oh, brother, living, learning, and applying. How about yourself, King?
Hey, man, same thing over here, man. Just trying to get better every day and day, man. And, like I always say, man, trying to get like my brother over here, man.
Hey, brother, we walking hand in step, brother, hand in step.
Indeed. But, before we get too far, I want to remind you all to like and subscribe to this channel. If you haven't already, make sure you like this video, share this with your people or whatnot, so we can get this out here and take this to the next level or whatnot, and as usual business, this episode is brought to you by Push It Forward Media Group, Caliprucia Astrology, and our good people over there on Patreon. Big up to y'all, big up to everybody or whatnot on the Patreon and everything like that. Shout out to all the new territories that we're getting into and stuff like that. All of our international listeners, big up to y'all. Indeed, indeed. But to find us, you can find Push It Forward on Instagram at PUSHITFWD. From there, you can get to all the different websites and everything like that, and you follow. Make sure you follow Cosmic Convos on Instagram as well. That's COSMICCONVO, and from there you can get to all of our links, how to get a chart, how to, you can get to everything from there and all the different platforms we're on. Brother Ra, how can the people get a hold of you?
You can hit me up via colorpurushastrology@gmail.com, or you can even hit me up on Facebook or IG via Shechem Ra.
Indeed, indeed. Nice and sweet. Nice and sweet. Nice and sweet. Indeed, indeed, man. So here we are, man. Season 4, episode 5 or whatnot. I think episode 4 did pretty well, man. We've been I've been just seeing some interesting things, like last time I was saying on the podcast is that, when you have your podcast out there, it's on a bunch of platforms, and some platforms you can't really see who's checking it out and stuff like that. So we got a lot more listeners than we actually know about. So, those of you who are listening to us and all, and, these lesser known podcast platforms and different things like that, man, big up to y'all. Definitely see the impact. But as far as last episode, been getting pretty good feedback on that. What's the feedback you've been getting, my brother?
I think this is like one of those classic seasons once again. We batting 1,000 right now.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. And speaking about that, as I go ahead and make the announcement, we mentioned it last time, but I want to officially, mention it. We got some more content coming from as far as Push It Forward Media Group or whatnot. So we are dropping the Push It Forward Network. All right, and what that means is that we're gonna have right now we have 2 other podcasts that's gonna be joining the network, and that just allows us to be able to give different type of content to the people and stuff like that, and I think it's a good opportunity for us to grow. So shout out to the next podcast that's going to be dropping actually this Friday. And that's Plant Based with Love with Amasheps and Pindu. Big up to them. You're going to definitely love that or whatnot. So you're going to see more info on that. We're going to drop the cover art and everything like that tomorrow for that. And then big up to my brother Bam De Leon. We dropping the Single Dad podcast. Which is going to be a game changer for sure. Absolutely. Might even be a little controversial, but it's going to definitely be a game changer, give some voices to some of the voiceless out there. And we got another podcast coming as well, but that's to be announced. So just wanted to lay that on y'all. So be on the tune, be in tune for that. So you're going to get hit a few times each week. You know what I'm saying? From, some similar content from some good friends. So definitely stay tuned in for that. All right. But, I don't really have that much questions right now. You get anything come your way, Ra? Anything you want to address before we jump into that topic?
No real questions, but I wanted to send a shout out to the brother that made a comment on the Kevin Samuels podcast.
Yes.
Uh,
I know who you're talking about.
right. And
Yeah.
he really kind of, it was a good, it's a shot, right? It's a heck of a shot, right? That the brother made a comment that Kevin Samuels would be really uh, best suited to a Capricorn ascendant, and for various factors. If you go read the comment, you'll all see what the brother attested to as far as what the reasoning why that would have been that would be an excellent ascendant. And I agree, right? I agree. Excellent breakdown. Really nice, succinct, to the point explanation of why Capricorn would really be good ascendant for Mr. Samuels. And I'd have to, I mean, really, Capricorn fits perfect. He had a surgery during Venus Dasha period, right?
Mm-hmm.
Saturn, which is the ascendant lord, is debilitated in the fourth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that shows that physically there would have been an illness, right, or some physiological issue. And then on top of that, Venus, when it runs its dasha, Venus being in the chest or abdomen cavity, right, of the body, showing running that dasha, running that, showing the impact on that area of the body via the physical health. So, excellent, excellent way to analyze it. One of the things he does mention, as far as his father is concerned, is his father, I believe, has a lot of children,
Yeah.
right? And Mercury conjunct the sun, right, in the second house would definitely produce a lot of children with the father, right? So because that's the ninth lord, right? In the second, right? And that ninth lord in the second being conjunct the sun, and of course there's other positions as well, but that definitely would present a very strong case for Cancer or Capricorn ascendant. So definitely just big up on that nice shout out. That was well stated, and we look for more of those type of, replies and and responses, because that shows us that we're out here, people are paying attention, and they're chiming in, and they're actually investigating the information that we put out there. So, please keep it coming. I like that. That
Indeed.
was a nice piece.
Indeed. Yeah, man. Shout out to that brother, man. I subscribe to your channel and everything like that. So we might, you got some stuff going on and stuff like that, man. So maybe we can talk offline. We might could even get you as a guest or something like that, or whatnot. Because I checked the brother out. He got some good things going on. So big up to him for sure.
Definitely.
Indeed. Indeed. One other thing on tonight, well, tomorrow we have the solar eclipse coming through.
Stay inside, folks,
Hmm.
if you can. If you work from home, even better, right? Meditate, right? Get into your spiritual practices, right? Find out what the next 6 months spiritually can hold for you for the next 6 months. What it spiritually holds for you for this, um, for the eclipse kind of fallout. Right? What to expect or how you can handle it best. It's one of the things we can do at these times. Really get into our growth and development around some areas that we are challenged in. And so, you know, if your Aries ascendant, for example, second house for you, right, would definitely be an area to look at as far as finances, family, and values. Examine those, meditate on those, and focus on what the inherent lesson is behind either having a surplus or lack of money. And, each ascendant has these special kind of lessons that you can meditate on. That's why you get your consultation done, so that you can know specifically what area of life those are going to affect. So definitely stay inside, again, meditate, try to take it easy. Don't do too much externalization as far as the world is concerned. Definitely don't watch the eclipse. I mean, of course, different parts of the world. You might be in a region where you can view the eclipse. As northern cities in the United States, such as New York, I think some parts of Minnesota, and upper regions of the nation can see it. So, don't go outside. Don't go try to look at it. I don't even watch it as far as the video is concerned, just because those forces are very powerful, and you want to try to control any type of real serious interaction at all costs. That's one of the things that we teach in Kemetic spirituality, is that Rahu and Ketu, right, are connected to the um, Nekabet and Wachet, which is what causes anomalies or strange things to happen. So just beware of the next couple of days, and be mindful the next 6 months of how that particular area of life will be impacted.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, I'm definitely cluing on that for myself. Indeed, or whatnot, man. Yeah, when you use Cancer and Leo ascendants, them eclipses is always, interesting or whatnot.
Oh, definitely. You're ruled by you're ruled by the planet that's being impacted through the eclipse. So yeah, definitely Cancer Leos are gonna definitely feel it, and have more of a physiological response, not just health wise, but mentally and also emotionally. So
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, be mindful of that.
Indeed, 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 indeed. So everybody definitely make sure you take heed to that or whatnot, man. But let's jump into today's topic, right?
Let's do it.
Some of y'all you're seeing the title of the video and everything like that. So what we're gonna jump in today is what makes a hip hop legend? What makes a great MC? Not only just from the perspective of like actual lyrical skill, that's a part of it for sure, right? But as far as being able to have a transcending career, someone who can come into the game and constantly show some mastery over their skill, and just take it to the next level or whatnot. So I thought that this would be, something definitely to check out. We know music is something popular that a lot of people like to get into and stuff like that, and maybe if you see some of these same little combinations in your chart and you're eyeing the music industry, something like that, then maybe you might want to look a little deeper or whatnot. So shoot, Rob, let's go ahead and jump into it, my brother.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So, let's hit the west side first, right? We'll jump on the west coast and ride on to the east, as we ride out, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to give everybody love, and from the west to the east, north to the south, it all matters. So maybe we'll do a part two of having northern and southern coasts, right? Uh,
Yeah.
type style, right? Where we maybe do some Scarface in there or some, or
And
some.
that's something I want to preface too about this episode. Keep in mind that we trying to use times that we have good solid times on the artists. There's a bunch of different artists that we could have gone through. We have charts, but we need a solid time to really be right and correct in what we're talking about and stuff like that. So don't beat us up too much because of who we picked. I think we picked some great artists to put in there, but we could have done more, but it's just, it's limited. Every having a good time of birth, I think you might have said it before in another episode, Roz, actually it's a luxury.
It
It
is.
really
It's
is a
called
luxury.
karma. Yeah, one of the things is, and this is the thing, before we get into the conversation, just a sidebar. Um, karma runs deeper than just your birth, where you are just you physically being born to this person in this time and in this space. It's also the nation that you're born into, right? That has a lot to do with karma, and they say as much given as much required. That's why a lot of times you'll hear people around the world tell Americans, you have a lot of power and you don't know what to do with it. Meaning that whenever you're born into a nation that is ruling the world at that given time, that means that number one, either one of two things, you're exhausting your karmic um, uh, positive pool, right? Or two, right, you've incarnated to make a very powerful and potent impact on the world and others. And so being born in a country that number one records your time of birth shows the power of the nation that you're born into, right? Most nations don't even record the time of birth, right?
Yeah.
Consider it,
You see stuff like
or let
second
alone the date.
breakfast.
Exactly. Right.
Second
So
breakfast, after just weird stuff you
right,
see for the
like the
time.
second moon, right after the monsoon, right when the cat came in, right? Those like that's right. And the cat always comes in at this time. So definitely if you have a time of birth, consider yourself. Some people in America don't have it, right? Some
Yeah.
people are born here. I know a lot of people that don't just have their time of birth. So it is something that we would consider a blessing or good karma. So when we get these time of births, we have to even, in fact, you're going to see one today. I would say it's probably off, just slightly so, right? But it's crucial that we have it. So we really can't do justice. Like Kevin is a great example. Kevin Samuel's podcast is a great example of what we can do with what we have, based on what we know,
Yeah.
right? So I always lock it in at midnight. Some people lock it in the midnight after. I lock it in at midnight the day of. to lock in to say, okay, what is this that we're looking at? Where's the moon? Because I'm going to use the moon as the ascendant. Other than that, we don't have a good time. It's really hard to really strongly predict and even
Yeah.
to gauge what's going on. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just as a
Don't
sidebar, don't
yeah,
definitely
don't let
don't squander that time of birth, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Well shoot.
Um,
What you want to get into first?
let's do Calvin. Let's do Calvin. What up, Cal? What up,
Calvin
Snoop?
Brodus.
Yeah. What up, Snoop?
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg, Long Beach. So yeah. Mr. Snoop. You know, his ascendant fits so perfectly. I mean, this whole chart is just well written. Almost if it was written himself, right? I mean, you got to consider ascendant as Aries always as someone that is just a fighter. They're courageous. They are not scared to take risks. You know, I
Yeah.
haven't yet to meet an Aries ascendant unless Mars is extremely damaged, where that individual is not designed to put themselves out there in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And the other thing, it makes you athletic. And he did play sports. In fact, he's still a coach to this day.
Yep.
Um, so shows number one, first and foremost, that who he is and who he embodies is definitely represented by Aries ascendant. Not only that, the ascendant Lord in exaltation is aspecting the fourth house, which also shows sports in high school and such. So definitely his chart is, it shows the ability to put yourself into positions where you might have to take a risk. You might have to um, be embarrassed. You might have to be rejected. But the thing about rejection is it takes 1,000 no's to get one yes. And obviously, right, he had the courage and the ability to put himself in those right times and right positions. We're going to talk about those times here in just a second. But the other thing is that, and that's, I'm just giving you kind of the overall purview of the character, right, of the nature of Snoop, so that you know why he does what he does. Um, the thing is that when you have an exalted ascendant Lord, it's almost like the sky's the limit in regards to really getting things done. The ascendant and the ascendant Lord is so crucial to being situated well, right? It just kind of undergirds the chart and to see what's possible from there. And all of the charts that we have, they're all very much placed fairly well, right? But the thing that makes the individual a really good MC, a master of ceremonies, right? And you have to remember how this works. Like the MC back in the day, right? Where we get the word MC, master of ceremony. So how when you come out and you would, like you had like the recent fight um, between Mayweather and the white guy, I don't even know his name, right?
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul, right? You have an
Yep.
MC, right? The guy that comes out, hey, we have such and such and such, and we have in this corner. That's an MC, right? Technically speaking, master of ceremonies. And so the MC, right, in the day when hip hop was beginning was the person that would get on the mic, rock the mic to a beat that because we didn't have like where we have it now, where every beat has every hip hop song has a beat to it. And back in the day, you would pick a song, right, or pick a beat and rap to it. And then that would get the party started. That would get everybody going. So you would be able to control the crowd, right? In fact, Rakim, Eric B and Rakim, right? They got a song called "Control," move the crowd.
Move the crowd.
It move, right? So if you're an MC, you can move the crowd. You get up, hey, and then they'll say hit to this song, So to be able to switch on beat, right? To be able to stay on task with multitasking because you're throwing something on the beat, you're following the beat, and you're entertaining the audience, right? That's what an MC is.
Yeah.
And so that takes a skill. It takes a craft. It's a craft. It's not just something you get up and do. Anybody can lay down lyrics and sit down and try to, but to actually be in the midst of something transforming into something else takes a very um, takes a skill. And so what do you see here is that Mercury is one of the primary constituents of the gift of gab, right? To have the word flow, to have the word play, to have the schemes, right? To connect things that don't seem to connect, right? and make them fit very well. That's Mercury's job, right? Bar none. Without Mercury, there's no hip hop. Not in the sense of what we would know as considered MCing, right? Or rapping,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? You know, Mercury is the doorkeeper. He opens the door. And, they would consider themselves a lot of times nowadays, they say, I'm a reporter, right?
Yeah.
Just a hood reporter. I'm telling you what's going on in the hood, right? So that reporting, that conveying of information, of messages, ideas, concepts, right, is all governed by Mercury. We always have to see that prominent in the hip hop artist chart, in the MC's chart. That planet has to be placed extremely well because it governs the sign of Gemini, which is the sign of communication. So it definitely connects directly.
I got something to add to that, and you tell me if you've seen it as well. And like I said, this is just me just kind of glancing at certain charts. I've seen from a lot of rappers that do pretty well, that's known, that have good skill. A lot of times I see Mercury and air signs or connected to an air sign some way. I just seen it a lot. I'm not, I mean, I don't know how
We're
much
gonna see
credence
it.
it
We're
got
gonna
to
see
it, but
it.
I've
We're
seen
gonna
it a
see it
lot.
here soon. Yeah, yeah. We're gonna see it. You see it over and over again, right? It's a repetitious process. And what better, when Mercury. Now here's one, right? Because we were going to not sidebar, but KRS, right? He got Mercury in Cancer, but guess where it
Okay.
is? But
Third
guess where it
house.
is? No, which part of Cancer?
Oh, it got to be in Ashlesha.
So Ashleisha can, I mean, water, because water signs have a mercurial aspect to them in the nakshatra
Yeah.
portions, right? So it depends. But you're right. I have noticed that Mercury in air signs seems to be the kind of rule of day for them to be extremely, popular, right, or well known, or well thought of, right? KRS is he's not underground, but he's kind of old school to where if you don't know what old school is, you don't know who KRS is. Everybody
Yeah.
knows who these pretty much these individuals are. Biggie, Kendrick Lamar, and and Snoop Dogg. Everybody knows who they are, right?
Absolutely.
Young to old, right? So you know that's what we talk about with that transcendence. When you get to Mercury and Cancer, it's very personal, right? So your message can be deep, but it's more of what you feel and what you're vibing instead of the general message that everyone can comprehend. And with Snoop Dogg, he's perfect because he's got Mercury in Libra, right? His ruler, the ruler of the third house. Now here's the other piece. Let's kind of go down a little checklist to kind of note what makes an excellent MC. Number one, as I stated, Mercury has to be placed in a very prominent position that can't be damaged by any kind of conjunctions. Saturn with Mercury will typically slow it down, right? And it's funny. Have you ever heard of Havoc?
Yeah.
Havoc has Mercury in Gemini.
Okay.
Again,
Okay.
Mercury in air signs, right?
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? A perfect example, right? Again, and you'll see it over and over. Something in air, right? Pac, sun is in Gemini, right? But I'm saying we didn't do Pac, but I have to adjust it. I'm really thinking sun. I think he's Gemini ascendant. I really do, right? Because that Aries ascendant with the moon in the 12th kind of fits a little. But when you look at that um from not from that ascendant, it changes everything. Like when you look at it from Gemini, Mercury is in the 12th lord, so that puts the ascendant lord in the 12th, right? So that means he's born or made, literally, he's engendered in prison, not engendered, but he's in the womb in prison. Venus is in the 12th, and Saturn's in the 12th. I mean, and of course, mother being in, I mean, everything shows perfectly. So might have to do another show on that just to kind of rectify that a little bit. But it is his son is in air signs, just in Gemini. Gemini usually plays some type of role in those that are extremely successful, or the third house, right? So let's kind of go. So Mercury, as a rule, number one has to be strong. Can't be conjunct Saturn. Can't be conjunct really K2, right? K2, those would be the two that would shut Mercury down. Not to say as far as just only to say as far as hip hop is concerned, there could be other things that can can come out of Mercury combinations like Saturn and K2. That can be mathematics, different things. But for
Yeah.
word flow, right, it's Mercury, right? And Mercury can become conjunct Rahu, that can happen. Mercury be conjunct the moon, that can happen, as we're going to see, right? Mercury can be conjunct Venus. That also is an excellent planet for poetry, wordplay, right? Gift of gab. So those are the things that you can look for Mercury's conjunctions. Mercury's placements in the third house, right? In the fifth house, in the seventh house, ninth, 11th, or first. Any of those can also cause, right, that gift of gab to manifest. So those are your houses, that's your planet. Now, and those are your combinations as far as the conjunctions are concerned. Remember, Saturn K2, no go. You might see some exceptions to the rule. If you do, definitely put them in the chat. Send them to us. Let us know because I'm always open to seeing new and different charts and new possibilities of those potentials. But I'm pretty sure I've never seen a Saturn Mercury conjunction with a person that has the gift of gab. Usually, just doesn't happen. Um, Now, Mercury's out the way. The third house is a very key house. When I say the third house, we got to look at, of course, the ruler of the third in the chart. So it could be any particular planet. It could be Venus, Mars, Saturn, any of them. If the third Lord is strong, along with Mercury, that also is a tell-all for a person with hip hop abilities.
Yeah.
So looking at Calvin, right, we can see that Mercury rules the third house,
Yep.
right? So Gemini is a natural sign of the third. It's naturally there. The third Lord, Mercury, is in the seventh house. So let me explain to you. Whenever a planet's in the seventh house, that is a very strong placement because it aspects the ascendant, it aspects the person. Not only that, it's in the Kendra house, and Kendra houses are typically stronger as far as their strength potential in a chart. 1, 4, 7, or 10 are usually strong for a placement. So we've got Mercury ruling the third in the seventh in a Kendra, and it's also aspecting the ascendant, which all of those three of those things boosts Mercury's abilities. It gives him that talking, right? Now, here's the thing, because Mercury rules our speech and our sound as well, he has that kind of like smooth, yeah, that player, that real nice melodious voice, right?
He's like, I mean, for me, when I think of Libra now, I think Snoop is an excellent example of what a Libra, just that
Smooth,
Libra
real
energy. You know what I
smooth.
mean?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, pretty
definitely.
much cool with everybody. You
Get
know,
right. I mean, even in the movie, according to the movie, whatever, him he fell out with Pac because he was cool with Big. So that's that Libra get along gang with everybody, right?
yep,
So um, everybody, I can't be mad at him. Everybody has their thing. That's just how he rolls. But the thing is that um, Mercury is in a very powerful yoga. That's what really boosts his particular gifts of gab. It's not just Mercury being in the seventh. A lot of people have that. Doesn't always give that superfluous uh, wordplay, but right, it's conjunct Venus in a Malavya yoga, Malavya yoga, and a Malavya yoga. That's when Venus is in 1, 4, 7, or 10 in its own sign, right, or exalted. You can see Venus is in Libra in the seventh house. That's extremely powerful,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Not
absolutely.
only that, he has the sun in a canceled debilitation, right? In Nichabang Raja Yoga. So you see that cancel because it's in the first house from the moon, right? Which is the Kendra from the moon, and its ruler, right? The planet that would exalt it is in the sign that it's in the sign that it's in the sign with the planet it's sitting in. So that also cancels the debilitation. So he's got three strong cancellations, right, in the chart. So again, that son, right? And that also speaks to his father and things like that, right? And relationship and such. Right. We won't go into that in this particular. Maybe we'll have a show for um, an exclusive show for just Snoop Dogg at some point, maybe in another season. But nonetheless,
Yeah.
right, that Venus conjunct Mercury or Mercury conjunct Venus. Remember, I said earlier when Mercury is conjunct Venus or the Moon, it can create a prolific writer or a prolific speaker. Well, you see, they're both there, and they're all in that yoga. That's a very powerful combination. So, rightfully so, he's where he is on top as far as his career is concerned. Now, let's even look at the timing of this, right? If you can show that Saturn Dasha, right, this is when he began to blow up. Saturn Dasha starts with a 91, right?
It actually starts
You know,
in 80,
84,
84,
84,
but he
right?
hits.
He hits the Saturn Venus Dasha in 91.
Yeah.
That's what blew him up, right? That's what got it started. And considering, right, Saturn, right, rules the 10th and the 11th. So there's your career, there's your prominence, there's your associations and networks with others. So your career is boosted by the association and networks with others, right? 11th house is that network. Saturn is in Venus's sign. So when Saturn runs its course, Venus, the planet that rules it, is going to have say. It's going to have sway. It's going to have influence. It's going to have an impact on how Saturn's dasha comes out. And take a look. Saturn Venus, as of August of 91, right? That's literally almost a year before he drops his first real, and I'm talking about, was it 90? Yeah. When he started to do, what is it? Deep cover.
Deep cover. Yeah. Yep.
Right. Right.
Knock
Deep
on wood.
cover came out in 92. Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's his first, and that was connected through Dre. Again, that's the 11th. That's the 11th house connected to the 10th. Not only that, Venus as the sub dasha, it's in the 7th house of partners, friends, connections. So right there is perfect timing for him to begin that. That shows you that's when he begins his career. Right. Interestingly enough, right? Interestingly enough, and throughout all of the Saturn Dasha, his career just got stronger and what? Stronger and
Hmm.
stronger. So you can see that this particular positioning of his chart is definitely one that gave him his prominence. That
Well,
Saturn
Saturn,
Venus.
Saturn made him work for it
Go
though.
ahead.
Like he didn't. It was a
Oh,
climb,
yo,
but
he had to put in work.
it was
He
a
had to pay his
Saturn.
dues.
He had a lot of stuff he had to overcome.
Yeah. He had to pay his dues. He had to pay his dues. Like for example, when he hit that Saturn Sun Dasha, right? It's
Hmm.
amazing. He hits his Saturn Sun Dasha. And in fact, hold on. If we look at the Saturn Venus Dasha, he hits, he had runs into trouble right in Venus, Saturn, Venus. And it's funny you just said that. It's funny you just said that because you said he had to pay his dues, right? He had to go through some stuff. So when
Yeah.
he hits Saturn, Venus, he's climbing, he's making his way, but then he's got a Saturn period that kind of squeezes into that, and so that's literally begins when he has his case. He catches a murder case.
Yeah.
Just you can
Yeah.
see the timing is pristine,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Um, Continuing on, right? I mean, he beats it in '96, right? He beats the case in '96, right? Saturn Moon, considering. I mean, but Moon again is still with Venus. Venus is a real strong, powerful anchor in this chart. It creates an extremely powerful yoga in that seventh.
Yeah.
That I mean, that's hard to defeat. So, at this point, once he's out of his Saturn dasha in 2003, he's in his Mercury dasha, and Mercury is the planet that we really look to see if that person is going to really take off. I mean, he was already established by that point, but Mercury definitely elevated his career. I mean,
Yeah.
to have because with Saturn, you got that death row type of still feel, you know,
Yeah.
that death row type of energy still lingering, you know.
Yep. Somebody just pointed that out in the comments.
Right. Right on, right on. Yeah.
Say is
In
it?
fact, yeah. He's on death row, exactly. He was on
Yep.
and Saturn is death, right? So you see what I'm saying? And right? I mean, these things are just they're uncanny.
Yeah.
Um, you know, in 2003, he reestablishes him. I mean, and I'm saying he's been remaking himself the whole time. When you leave death row and you're kind of out there and remaking yourself, then by all means, right? When Mercury comes around, now you're a solo, not because he was always a solo artist, but he was an artist that could stand alone. His his gift of gab is really now seen to come to rise, and all throughout the Mercury Dasha, right? All throughout
Yeah.
the Mercury Dasha.
Yeah.
Now it's funny, we just got news today, right? I don't know if you've heard, folks have seen the news, but he was just announced Def Jam's president, right?
Mm-hmm.
Today, right?
Yeah.
Interesting, right?
Very.
And
Very.
so, being Def Jam's president, right? He's in a K2 Dasha. So, we talked about it. He's paid his dues, right? He had his Mercury, right? Run of the mill, run in the game, meaning that he got himself out there. You know, he always stayed influencing. He always stayed relevant. You know what I mean? Like some of these hip hop artists, they're powerful, like KRS, like Rakim, like a lot of the old school old heads that are just powerful to me, the real MCs. But they didn't keep their relevance. And
Yeah.
this individual, he's still here and he's gonna be here, right? Snoop is
Yeah.
gonna be
Because
here for a while, right?
hit that Venus Dasha next in a few
Oh man,
years.
and sky's the limit again.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? He gets that and the Venus Dasha. That's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful karma, right?
Yep.
So but K2 is one of the things that, and people say, how K2, Ra? K2 is a flag, right? And it's in the fourth house. It's a Kendra. Remember, 147 or 10. And if the Lord of that particular Kendra is in another Kendra, that's a very powerful particular yoga. K2's in the fourth, ruled by the moon. Moon is in the seventh, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's with Venus. You see what I mean? So
Yeah.
boom. And the seventh house, folks, is the 10th from the 10th, which is also promotions and gains in career, upgrades in career, right? Perfect, right? Perfect. And it's like he's gonna end on a nice note, right? This life is really gonna have a nice little way to party him off. So, big ups to Snoop.
Indeed. Big up
Um,
Snoop.
definitely, definitely. So let's do Kendrick. Let's do Kendrick Lamar. Let's do Kendrick. And again, here's this air sign, brother. You ain't never lied, right? Right.
Uh-oh.
Here it is again, right? In full bloom. Kendrick, we got him. It's June 17th, 1987, 1504, Compton, California. Um, and as you can see, right, he's Libra ascendant. Now, isn't it something that he's Chitra ascendant? We know we've heard Chitra probably come out of our mouths quite a few times because brother and I got it in common, and it creates a genius type mind, right? Not to say I'm genius, right? Not to say that at all, but right, it
You
does
claim it,
create
man. Go
a
ahead.
genius. It creates a genius like ability, right? In whatever field or gift that you have, it can elevate you to really create something that transcends time, that really is um, a value. And so Shitra Nakshatra just does that. Moon, ascendant, right? Ascendant Lord, um, Mars, right? It just because Mars is in his own nakshatra there, it does well there.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as creative abilities, so you can see that Shitra is playing out all the way through.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing is that um, he's got some very powerful placements in that he really didn't even have like any. Like his whole chart is set up very very well. Um, his ascendant Lord is in Taurus. That's pretty powerful because even though it is in the eighth house, right, it's in its own sign. So for Libra ascendants, it doesn't harm. Venus doesn't harm as much as Venus does bring a lot of changes, right? Venus brings changes, right? New situations, things that demand you to come out of your comfort zone, right? That's what Venus ruling the eighth house will do. But it also rules the ascendant, so it won't necessarily harm you. It will teach you how to change, but it won't necessarily harm you, right? It depends, right? It can at times if it's debilitated or if it's in certain placements or conjunct certain planets or in certain degrees. But for the most part, Venus for Libra ascendants are one of the better planets. For Taurus is different, even though it rules Taurus, right? It's more of an enemy because it has a different positioning, but still very friendly to that ascendant. So as the eighth ascendant Lord being in the eighth house, right? It gives them a ability to go deep,
Yeah.
right? Right.
Yeah.
To pull things out that are different, that come from another place.
Mm-hmm.
And so um, it's in Rohini, which is a very creative nakshatra. So the guy is very creative and he has the ability to convey ideas and concepts in a very um, unorthodox way. His
Yeah.
wordplay is different, right?
Yeah.
It's just different. But when
Mm-hmm.
you listen to it and you go back over it again and like, that's that's tight because it sometimes it takes a minute for Kendrick stuff to hit you. It did for me because a lot of people's like, man, you sleeping on Kendrick? Oh man, yeah, Kendrick. I sat down and listened to this, and I said, man, that whole album was dope. So you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, Kendrick is definitely that type of individual that is able to transcend, right? Just the realm of hip hop. Snoop transcended it. Snoop, when we say transcended, I mean this brother has been in movies, Bone. He has his own movie, not alone, let alone he's been in movies, in TV shows. He's got his, I mean, he's with Martha Stewart. I mean, go figure, right? He's got his own. Snoop has his own world, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
He has a podcast, brother. What up? Hey, yeah, you
Yeah.
man, yeah, right, right. Bring us on. But you know what I mean? He's got his own podcast. He's got his own world.
Yeah.
So he's transcended hip hop. He's a household name. He's got, I think he has a star in the Walk of Fame, right?
Yep. Yep.
Right. That just happened not
Yep.
too long ago, too, right?
About 2 years, a year or two ago, something
Two,
like
3 years
that. Two
ago,
about
right?
about 2 years,
Right.
yeah, something
Right.
like that.
Right. So again, showing right, life is definitely scripted by that Venus, Malavia Yo. So this guy here though, man, it just the twist of words and the style, I got to really give it up to him. I'm honestly, I wasn't a Kendrick fan at first. I am a Kendrick Lamar fan, right? I really do enjoy his music, and you can
Big
see
big up to you, bro.
big up, big up, man, definitely, man. Um, you know, you know,
He he's cold with it, man. I mean,
he is,
like,
man. I mean,
yeah, he's a scientist. Well, just like you said, the first lord being in the eighth makes you, can go deep. You can tell that he doesn't just haphazardly make anything. Everything that he puts out is well thought out, well researched, well put together and stuff like that. So he's definitely a one of one on that level for sure.
yeah, yeah. I mean, seriously, I have a lot of respect for his craft and his abilities in that craft. So, he's got this whole thing licked with Mercury in the ninth,
Yeah.
right? With Snoop, it's Mercury conjunct the Malavia Yoga planet. That's what really Snoop's ability comes in, and with the moon, right? That lineup, and it shoots right back to the ascendant. So he is by far a MC, but this guy is seriously. I can see him in 10 to 12 years from now being Snoop, times two, right? Just
Yeah.
his ability. Because if you look at this chart, number one, Mercury as the tell all is in Gemini
Mm-hmm.
alone, right? Automatically gives some wordplay. Maybe not hip hop, but maybe just salesman. Maybe some area, some they're gonna have a wordplay some kind of way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's with the ladies, right? Maybe the seventh house might be or business or it's gonna manifest. Maybe it's fourth house is school, education, excellent teacher, right? Wordplay is gonna be there with Mercury and Gemini.
Yeah.
But this is the ninth house, folks. There's a whole nother level to it, right? When it's in the fifth or ninth in its own sign, that is an extremely powerful placement, right?
Yeah.
Extremely powerful. Probably more powerful than Malavya yoga, right? And in the sense of wordplay, in the sense of connecting ideas and thoughts through different concepts, through different ways of expressing oneself.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got Mercury in the night in Gemini, right? It's in Purnavasu, which is even better. What Purnavasu does for this is that he's in a Mercury Dasha right now too. We're gonna talk about that in a minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a repetition thing. It's a to and fro thing. So it's like you do something, you go back, and when you do it, it gets better. So literally, right? He'll write something, he'll go back and he'll make it better. And then by the time you have it, it's a masterpiece. That's what he's
Mm-hmm.
doing right now as we speak. You haven't heard too much about Kendrick. I'm sure he's writing. He's in a Mercury
Yeah.
Dasha. It's all over. Now, Mercury aspect back to the third house. That's again another boost because now it's giving the third house the courage, the ability to have that that uh, uh, je ne sais quoi with the words and to say the right thing at the right time at the right place. That's his gift on the track. It's almost it hit you later. Like, did he say that? He said that, right? Right. Then you go back and then you go back and do what? You play it again, don't you?
Yep.
I know people have had to listen to Kendrick Lamar at least two or three times to catch it, right?
Yeah.
That's Mercury in Purnavasu. He does it that way, but when we hear it, we do it the same way he does it, right?
Yeah.
Very powerful.
I even picked up not even something just as far as just his actual, lyrics, but I was listening to Pimp a Butterfly not too long ago again, and I was listening to the intro. And the intro, he has like a bunch of different people just talking in the
Hmm.
background,
Hmm.
saying things or whatnot, and then you hear like a woman in the background. She says, "I'm gonna get my Uncle Sam to come mess you up." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You,
I
you
heard
know
that
what
part. Yeah,
I'm saying? And when I
yeah.
when I first heard it, I didn't think nothing of it. I did, but I wasn't. You know what I mean? But just in
Cause
light
Uncle
of what's
Sam
kind of
gonna
been,
mess you up. Yeah, yeah. No,
it's
man,
in.
I'm telling you, y'all, what? Go, because it's gonna get better. When he
Yeah,
had that, what was that song that he did with the video with um Don Cheadle?
yeah. The that he did loyalty. Not loyalty. Royal. I got loyalty,
Look,
royalty inside my DNA. DNA. That's it. That's it. That's what it's called. DNA.
cold.
Yeah.
The wordplay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. This man is wicked with this,
Oh
right?
yeah.
You go back and listen, you like he's saying like four, five things at the same time, right? It's dope, right?
Yeah.
So master of words, right? Didn't go to school for it either, right?
Nah.
Right? But yeah, master of words, right? So that
Yeah.
Mercury aspect in the third, right? In the ninth, in its own sign, in Purnavasu, which again, you gotta catch you he's so crafty with it, you gotta catch it again to understand it. So, that right there alone steals the show. But
Yeah.
then you have Sun there, also 11th Lord, right, with Mercury in its in so it's so Mars is in the 11th from the 11th, right? That if you count, right? The
Yeah.
ninth is the 11th from the 11th. So again, also showing, and the 11th house is gifts, folks, talents. Just like the fifth, so is the 11th, right? So gifts and talents, right, with words. And his core, his center, right, is directly in line with it, right? He's born to do this. So the sun in the ninth house in Gemini is strong in and of itself for word mastery.
Yeah.
So he's got two very, and now again, it looks back to the third house.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing he has is Mars with Mercury. Now, a lot of times this can if it's not placed in position in a very prominent house, it can give wordplay, but in a way that's um a little I don't want to say unorthodox, but a little bit more
Fire like a
less refined. It's less
yeah.
refined. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because Mars is rough. Right,
Yeah.
it's jagged. Right, it has no smooth sides, so it's more rough. It's less refined. It's less, you know, unique. Right,
Mm-hmm.
with this, Mars is in the ninth house.
Yeah.
Right, and if you check it out, right, Mars aspects the third. So that Mars, even though, right, it's with Mercury within 2 degrees, that still benefits that wordplay because it's in the ninth of mastery. It doesn't, right, it doesn't harm the individual's output. A lot of times Mars can create frustration with words, right? They can still get it out, and but it's not the flow. It's just different. So the ninth
Well,
house, it does it.
when you listen to him though, I mean, like he can come in different modes, but he has this other mode that he gets to, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's like fighting. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah, 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 yeah. You're right. He does, and that's that
you know.
Mars conjunction. Right?
Yeah.
Now the third lord is also in play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not something easily to see, but there's a connection, or what we call a sambandha, or a connection. The
Mm-hmm.
third lord, right, is in the seventh. It's in Aries, but where is the lord of Aries? In the ninth, looking
Ninth,
back to the third.
which
So
is
there's a
the
connection between Jupiter and the third,
yeah.
and it aspects the third
Mm-hmm.
from its ninth house aspect. So you see what I mean? Again, showing that this man has a ability to use words all around, bar none.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Moon in the fifth house, very intelligent, very intelligent. Right, right. See, the fifth house, because people say, well, isn't fifth house education? Isn't fifth house? It it isn't. Fifth house is only the education in the sense of what you would consider your IQ, right? If you want to know somebody's IQ, it's the fifth house,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so the moon being in the fifth gives a very high IQ. The mind is connected with natural intelligence, natural creative aspiration ability, which is what the fifth house does. Creative inspirational ability. Because remember, the sun is the natural ruler of the fifth,
Yeah.
right? And sun inspires. So when the moon is there, very powerful, right? And not only that, right? The moon's lord is in the second. The second lord is in the ninth. So it still
Mm-hmm.
connects the moon to the ninth house. Even more powerful, right? So the guy is literally designed to be a word master, right? A word ginsu, because he can use those words, and I mean puts them in places. It just makes your head spin, and then finally when you get it, it's like whoa,
Well,
right?
he uses it to communicate higher knowledge, a
High,
higher,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, right? Without a doubt, without a doubt. So definitely showing he's got a Mercury Dasha, that he's running, right? Saturn is when he blew up,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I believe Saturn Rahu, wasn't it?
Uh,
I want to say Saturn Mars, Saturn Rahu, because he wasn't out before 2009, 2010.
that was around the time when he came in. That era, because he had the Section 80, and I think that came out in like 2008, 2009, somewhere in there.
Right,
So I would say
right.
probably more like Saturn Mars or Saturn Moon, maybe in the Saturn Moon into that
Saturn
Saturn
Mars.
Mars period.
Saturn Moon
Yeah.
is when he got started, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because that moon is in the fifth.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? That moon definitely kicked it in, right? Moon ruling the 10th house of career in the fifth, right? Definitely got it started. But Saturn Mars definitely got the ball game rolling. And Saturn Mars is so quick, it's a year, and then Saturn Rahu. And Rahu's in the sixth, Rahu's Lord is in the seventh. Um, but I can honestly tell you, man, Mercury Dasha is what did it for him. Because Mercury, by that time, he's already, what I mean, he's in the mix, he's moving and shaking. Mercury Dasha, I want to say a household name, but he's common by that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because before, I didn't know if Kendrick Lamar was in 2010. I had heard of I had heard of, but didn't know, right? But by 2015, I knew who Kendrick Lamar was.
Yeah.
So definitely, you know what I mean. Not to say I'm the person that validates his career or his notoriety, but you know what I mean. Definitely, you can see that at 2015, right? It was on and cracking, and he's in that Dasha now, and he's gonna ride that out until what to 2032. Yeah, so we can definitely see a lot more lyrical joints come from him. A lot of things drop. Some beautiful stuff coming, I'm sure, especially considering he's coming up with a moon. He's coming to Mercury Moon Dasha, and Moon is in imagination and also creative stuff. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Definitely.
Yeah, man. He did the Black Panther soundtrack.
Sure did. Sure did. Did
Did
well with
yeah,
that. That was a great song, right?
yeah, or whatnot. Yeah, yeah, he's been getting busy this Mercury
I mean, when you got
Dasha for
Dre
sure.
on your team, man, when you got Dre, because he's with TDE, he's in the same, and he's with Schoolboy. I like Schoolboy Q, right? I like Schoolboy Q. A lot of his stuff is coming through too.
Yeah,
I looked for his time, I couldn't find it, but he's not. Schoolboy Q is slept on, right? Schoolboy Q got some tight lyrics, man, some dope
yeah,
lyrics, but it's just not. He's just not household stuff material, right? Kendrick can be, he is. So, but they're both on TDE, right? But when you got Dre on your side, I mean, come on, right?
let's see. He's not even really working with. I think he worked with Dre a lot on his first album, but since
The
then,
first out, but I'm saying that's the jump off, right?
yeah,
You don't need nothing now. After that, it's like okay, you had please, please come in. You know what I mean? At that point when you got Dre coming down like that on your first album, who gets Dre on their first album, right? Like, I mean, seriously, like, who gets Dre on their first album? People been
Snoop,
waiting 10 albums, still ain't got Dre, right? So,
Snoop, Snoop.
Snoop,
Some
right?
people
See,
like
hey, hey, there
that.
you go, right? That's exactly what it is, right? Right on
Yeah.
time, right? That's why they're there. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? They can or have transcended their genre
Yeah.
or their craft. And the next one we're about to do, bar none, right? Bar none, right? Needs no real introduction, but he definitely is also one that I was shocked because when we started, I'm like, whoa, brother, definitely got it going on. Biggie Smalls, right?
Man, that
Big.
Coogee sweater is killer. That's just a classic. Yeah.
Yeah,
St-
yeah,
Stay
yeah,
Coogee
big.
down to the socks.
Down to the socks. Look at that, boy. Oh wow. Hey, I have me a Coogee too.
Yeah.
You didn't have You never coochie, you didn't know what was going on. But yeah, I have coochie. So, you know, I definitely see Aquarius ascendant with this. You know, definitely see Aquarius ascendant. It's strange, you know. He's not like Nip, but they both are Aquarius ascendants. You know,
Mm,
um,
mm.
they have this kind of, you know, Aquarius. This is Aquarius. If you ever wondered about Aquarius, right? I know some of my students are Aquarius. So if you're listening, right, Sambo, if you're listening, right, check it out. Aquarius has a weird nature. Just they're weird automatically. Aquarius is like the weird one of the bunch,
Yeah,
but they kind of like are people, but they're not. You know what I mean? Like they can be in any group, talk to anybody, and they're there, but there's a part of them that just they're not there. It's like, you know, that air energy. You know, they're there, but they're not there.
yeah.
Right. And you can feel that from Big, right? You know, Big, you know, as much as a star as he is, you could see, you know, through the movie, if it was portrayed in any shape, form, or fashion correctly, you know, he was awkward when he's like he rocked the mic. You know, he rocked the mic and he wasn't. He just did his thing, right? That's just who he is. He just does his thing. He's not that type of um, flamboyant energy. You know what I
So
mean? Whereas
he's a
the other
little.
two,
He has a bit of a, I guess, a reputation, and don't take this the wrong way, as being kind of a little lazy. You know what I'm saying? You know, a little laid
mhm,
back. You know what I mean? Like that, he had to. Puff had to go put the battery in his back a little bit, or
true,
whatnot,
true,
and certain
true,
certain
right?
or whatnot. I mean, just from where that moon placement is, I see that in people a lot with that. That's Puba Falguni. You know, they kind of,
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, sometimes they need that heat behind them, and they don't, you
yeah,
know, they don't get it until they get it, right? It's like, oh
yeah.
wow, I appreciate it. So yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. He needed a battery in his back. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Moon and Aquarius can be late. Any fixed sign can be somewhat lazy, right? Because it's so fixed. Aquarius is not one of them that, but they can be lazy, just straight up. Any
Yeah.
fixed sign can be lazy, right? Taurus, of course, right? Leo, bar none, right? Scorpio, yes, right? Believe it or not. Scorpio has to learn how to go to bed on time, right? They're night creatures, right? And then of course Aquarius, they're the least laziest, right? But they're Saturn ruled, so they're late bloomers, right?
Mm,
Right. And many times they take a while to bloom, right? And you know, Big, because of his placement, he's got the ascendant lord with sun that burns, right? So a lot of times that burning type of drive, right? That burnt that because it's combust, right? It's within look at that, almost nine about no 10, 11, no 9 degrees, right?
yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 9 degrees. That's combust, right? And so that combustion creates an uncomfortable energy. Now you can
Yeah.
see his mother, right there, Saturn and Sun. That's his mother. You can see that all day. Right?
Mm,
Educated, right? Awning, right? You know, his mama was not the type of mom that just, whatever, right? His mama was the type of mom, if you didn't do right, you had to pay the consequences. And so that Saturn Sun combination is how he felt his mom. It's in Venus. I mean, it's in Taurus, ruled by Venus. So it's not harsh in the sense of overbearing, but mother just didn't play,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that he was brought up in a home that did value education, that did value structure, discipline, and manners, that kind of thing. So when you have that in your heart, your general makeup, it does make you a decent kind of guy. It makes you someone that has some understanding of rules and regulations and respect. But right, his ascendant lord, right, is in the sun is in Kritika, right? And that definitely also adds energy to the father, right? Meaning the
Yeah.
father can be hot and abusive as well. So we can see the things play out in his life perfectly based on his upbringing and his chart. But here's his gifts, right? Mercury in the doggone third house. You know what I mean? Like you can't get any better than that, right?
Yeah.
And Big's life was cut too short for us to really witness his full ability, right? I mean, when he had my favorite Big album is the one where he talks about where he's like he tells the story. He's laying in the bed with the chick, right? And they come in, and I can't remember. Either he's laying in the bed with the chick, and then the other one when he's talking to Puff, right? When Puff calls him. I mean, that first album, I ain't gonna lie, man. That is such a classic. It's worth 3 albums, right?
Man, I was just telling, my mate the other day, because she's from Brooklyn or whatnot. I forgot why we were talking about Biggie, but I was telling her because when that first album came out, I was like, I was a young book, but I was a little bit more into music than my peers at the time, because everybody around me was older, so I was listening to it. But I remember when he was on Juicy, when he was like, put what do you say? Put 14 carrots in my baby girl ear. When I was young, I was like, man, he's sticking carrots in his daughter ear. That's what I thought he was talking about because I ain't know the connection with the going stuff.
Right.
But I knew all the lyrics. I just ain't know what everything meant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Big man, Big
Yeah,
is
that first album was a classic for
that's
sure
worth
though.
3 albums. That's worth I give him 3 albums, right?
Yeah,
So that to me, right, was his that date that album alone was enough to substantiate a longevity that's out of this world. Just he had he not even made the second album, the first album definitely would have done that. So he definitely transcended. You transcend when you have a movie made about you,
yeah,
right?
and countless documentaries,
Yeah.
countless
When you
documentaries.
get and here's the thing, his movie came out before Pac's movie did,
It did, yeah.
right? And to me, it was better put together too, right?
Both of them
His
could
movie,
use another one. I think both of them could use
they
another one.
could, they could,
They
they,
they,
you,
they
you're
need to
right.
be, put my filmmaker hat on. It needs to
They need
be
to
a
push your
series.
forward productions behind it, right?
It needs to be a series,
You could to probably do a series out of
a
Pac,
limited
a
series, about a
Netflix series. Yeah,
6 7 episode. You know what I'm saying? Series for each one to give it the true justice. Because movies like
to
that,
tell it
biopics,
right. Yeah, to tell
they
it. Yeah,
always, they always seem like they're rushed. When I watched the Tupac movie again, it was like, all right, we're
it
here
was
already.
rough.
Like
Yeah,
it's going too fast.
yeah. It's like we're here, we're here, we're here. I mean, we start off here, right, and then it's like boom, right. So yeah, it didn't give any much filler. It just kind of brought us his demise almost, right?
Yeah, yeah,
No real
yeah.
kind of meat and substance to who Pac is,
No
except
real character
a,
development.
a scene with Jada Pinkett. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, the what they showed for Pac in his earlier years to have who he is and who he was depicted, it just didn't do it justice. They should have shown a lot more of his childhood, a lot more interaction with a lot more of the Panther movement because he did a lot more showing his mother's transformation. They tried to do the best they could, but and
can't do it
sometimes
in two
movies just
hours.
don't give you the time to do that. You know what I
Yep.
mean? You're trying to get 2 hours, 20 some odd years in 2 hours. That is hard to do, right? So
Yeah.
I get it. But Big's movie I did like a little bit. I found it was just better put together. It showed to me more Biggie, right?
Mm-hmm.
It Pac showed more of what the camera showed. The movie with Big showed more of what Big kind of showed, experience. Because when he went to jail, that kind of thing. Pac in jail, it was a very different way of telling the story. So Biggie's movie to me was a lot better done. Even though I am a true to the heart Pac fan to the core, right? But his chart is phenomenal. I mean, Mercury in the third house, right? It's in Baharani, right? So that's gonna give a different wordplay than it would be in Ashwini or Kritika.
Yeah.
Baharani's more creative, right? going to get more deeper into, life and death. In fact, isn't it a trip? What's his name of his album? First album?
I'm ready to die.
No, second album. I'm sorry, second album.
Life after death.
And Mercury is in Baharani, and Baharani rules life and death. Right? Check it out. Right? Baharani's avatar or god or deity is Yama, the god of death.
Yeah.
Right? Ready to die. Right? You know what I mean? Just you can't beat that, right? It's perfectly written.
Yeah.
Not only that, Mercury has Jupiter aspecting from the 11th. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very powerful aspect as well. It boosts that mercurial ability up quite a bit. And then to add
Got that.
that in, Mercury's ruler is in the fifth, which is the third from the third.
And the
Right?
Parvatana.
Count from the third to the fifth is one, two, three. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Extremely powerful. And to add in further, there's a Parvatana exchange.
Yep.
Right? And that exchange then again boosts. So you can see Jupiter boosting it up, the Parvatana exchange boosting it up, and then Venus, which is the Karaka, the Yoga Karaka for Aquarius ascendants, is conjunct Mars, which is the ruler of the third. Again, also adding more fuel to the fire.
Yep.
Right? So it definitely has that ability, right? Without a doubt. Moon in Purva Falguni is a lot of where his creative ability comes in as well. Even though, right? Yes, it can be very lazy. It can also be very creative,
Yeah.
right? Because it's ruled by Venus.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
bar
And
none, that's it. Now, the timing is the keyest thing to this chart.
yeah.
This is when it gives you them goosebumps, like, woo, man, this ain't no joke. Take a look at his dasha periods. Right? If you look at the dasha period,
Let me move Big over a little bit. There we go.
yeah, slide big over. See that dasha period coming full boom.
Okay.
That is phenomenal. He passed his date of death is March 9th, 1997, folks. March 9th, 19. Oh, and I did see the comment he didn't start rapping until he was 18. Well, if that's correct, which sounds right and about and exact, that's right when Moon Jupiter hits. Right, Moon Jupiter Dasha is in 1990. Right,
Yeah.
so good looking for that as that insight. Perfect example of how it ties in perfectly. Moon Jupiter is when it begins. Right, but back to this Mars Dasha thing here. It's crazy, folks. He dies according to now. What I predict is his actual birth time is off about maybe 6 or 7 minutes, maybe 8 minutes. It's actually probably 212, 211, 212, because it would push that Dasha period back just a little bit to where right on that date when he passes, the Mars Dasha period begins. Mars begins the period where literally Mars is gunshots, bullets, weapons. It's in the fifth house. Fifth house is not a house you would think that would be oriented around being murdered or killed. But check out the connections. Mars is with Venus. And remember, not only is Mars with Venus, Mars exchanges planets, right, with Mercury. Mercury is the planet that rules the eighth house.
Mm-hmm.
The eighth house is the house of sudden, unexpected events, including death.
We seen a similar pattern with Nip.
We did, didn't we?
Yep. I
K2
mean,
was
same
in that
same.
sixth house too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that sixth house was loaded in his chart, but yeah.
It was. Now it's strange. He's got some strange. Big got some strange things. I'm not saying Puffy or anybody in his, but whatever happened on that night was an inside job. I'm telling you, someone knew enough to know where he was going to be.
Well, they said it was a hired hit.
Exactly. Right.
So
Phone
I seen
call.
a
Hey,
report.
he's leaving. Hey, he's leaving. Right. Hey,
That,
he's around the corner. He's on such and such street. Hey, he's at. You know what I mean? Compound. Because the way it's situated is that Mars, right, is the kick is the planet, but Mars can't do anything without that eighth house connection. It
yeah,
just really it can't. Mars aspects the eighth house with its fourth house aspect, but Venus, because it rules the ascendant lord, and because Mars is connection with the eighth house, that's where the trigger comes in. That's where the flip, because that Parvatana, that flip, I can guarantee you, someone in his camp made the phone call to tell where Big was. And that's how they found, that's how, because, if you're in a caravan, you don't know which car is which,
they
right?
say that actual the hit was actually for Puffy for Diddy.
And
That's
that
recent
interesting.
reports.
The
Recent
flip,
reports.
the flip, the flip, that Parvatana changes the game. So, Mars turning on right at that time is what took him out. Seriously. Right? We're not even talking transits or anything. We're just talking
Yeah,
straight up boom. Everything we've looked at has been right and exact. Beauty of this science, folks. Beauty of
indeed.
science, right? So I hope we've done these brothers some justice as far as just revealing their talents, skills, and abilities and where it comes in. Um, you know, there's more always out there to research. There's always more people that coming up, the new and new stars that some of us haven't even heard of. If you get their birth times, run the data, see what's out there, see what's coming up on the horizon, and drop us a note. Let us know. We definitely are always up to looking at new and um, new and rising and ingenious individuals that are coming up on the scene as far as anything is concerned, not just hip hop, but any type of genre. So if you folks
Yeah,
have charts and information that we don't, send it to us. Let us know, right? We definitely will look into it.
indeed, and definitely, blessings to Biggie and his family and everything like that, or whatnot. Great, and cut a little short and stuff like that, man. But definitely left a major impact, indeed, and whatnot. You know, yeah. As far as some of the other artists, I got a lot of the. I ran a lot of the new younger people's charts, but again, it's just time.
Hmm.
I haven't found one really with a good time.
No,
You
I
know,
tried to try in futures, but I couldn't find it.
like I did Lil Durk, a couple others, but I just don't have good times on them. You know.
Yeah, they're hard to find, but they pop out. They come out, and people find them. So if you, like I said, if you get some time, let us know. I would definitely, take a shot at it.
Indeed, indeed. With that being said, man, time flew by fast on this one. We went a little over, but it didn't even feel like it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Oh
you
man,
know,
no, it didn't. No, it didn't.
indeed, indeed. But with that being said, this episode is brought to you by Pushing Forward Media Group, Calapusha Astrology, and our good people on Patreon. Big up to y'all, and big up to everybody in the chat that's live watching us right now and stuff like that. I definitely like this format a little better. For the patrons this week, I'll do a kind of a post little situation on this, utilizing another science or whatnot, some other things in there that we can drop in there. So we'll do that for the Patreons this week. So be on the lookout for that or whatnot. some very interesting things that you may not know about that science, and when looking at rap and people's style and different things like that. So you guys, I think, would definitely enjoy that. Rod, you got anything else you want to say to the people before we close out?
No, time, same channel.
All right, indeed. So I want to thank you all for definitely tuning in or whatnot, and we will be safe during the eclipse. Don't be trying to do too much. Play it easy. If you got how to meditate and all that stuff like that, probably get some of that in or whatnot. But just take it easy and stuff like that. And with that being said, we'll be back next week, same around same time, same place, with another great episode. All right, we're out. Peace.